All right, I think we're live. If you are here, this is the official beginning. We are going to jam out for the next 30 minutes talking about these health topics that I am so excited about. And by the way, just appreciate you being here. I'm happy to be doing this. As you may know, just doing classes at the ashram health retreat years ago was totally my jam, and so I love doing this. And this is fun to do it live. Doing this second workshop now because I can share way more, and this is the most valuable stuff. So, and it's more fun. And I am excited to do a Q&A at the end of this. And I want to get through some key stuff before 2:30 so that we can do questions for those of you who have the extra time. So today we are going to focus on the essentials for identifying the weight loss brain health connection and just what it takes to make it really click in order to shed those unwanted pounds, and also the essentials, how this is connected with mood enhancement, mental clarity. Yesterday we did talk about the essentials for Alzheimer's prevention and memory and also longevity. This is all connected, of course. And I am going to do a quick breeze through that since I know you may have missed out on yesterday because we had the technical difficulty which made us behind schedule 15 minutes. So if you were here yesterday, then actually this is really valuable to hear just the quick overview of this, what we covered yesterday, because this is new technical information, I know, for a lot of people. And so when you're going through this information on this kind of fast time frame, it can sometimes go in one ear and out the other. So it's just really no debating, though, that the health of your brain just really determines the quality of your life. It really can. It's effective for your mood and memory, your thinking, problem solving, communicating with others, and your longevity, just to name a few. So improving these invaluable parts of our lives just deserves a lot of care. And the health does bring us joy. And so even if you are already healthy, I can promise you this is still going to benefit your life. So what I have to share today are just the fundamental methods of what anybody can use to improve the health of your brain right away. Brain health is something affected literally minute by minute. The foods you eat literally affect the brain right away. So how you continue the rest of your day after this workshop will definitely make a difference. And by the way, I did just share yesterday that brain health is my jam due to my own brain healing. It was a tremendous opportunity to learn from just the top neurologist, as I was able to really experience firsthand just which of these factors I'm going to share with you carry the greatest benefit, which of course is why I'm so excited to share it with you. So if, let's see, just a quick revamp of yesterday. I did emphasize yesterday that there is an urgency to all of this, and the idea is not to necessarily scare people, but why this is such a call to action is the recent decline of overall average brain health, especially in the US over just the last 10 years. I shared with you just the statistic of Alzheimer's has more than doubled in the last decade, and meaning that after the age of 85, the risk is 50%, believe it or not. That's a really big deal. And this is due to very specific causes that just not enough people know about. So, and this rate is increasing. So, and there is no known treatment. Now, there are a whole bunch of things that are being reflected by the health of the brain that it's absolutely affecting children with child obesity, that's linked to brain health, and I'm going to explain how. And also, just to put it into perspective, just in the last 10 years, the percentage of people overweight has jumped from 60 to 70%. And I think it's a fair assumption that this is all also connected with that goofy term that we became acquainted with several months ago of the quarantine 15, people gaining an extra 15 pounds. And while it was partly due to people just not getting out as much and doing as much physical activity, I want to explain actually how there is a biochemical reason that this happened relative to brain health. So I want to go ahead and share with you, and if you were here yesterday, you heard that a big part of this is actually inflammation, that inflammation is the biggest enemy when it comes to the health of your brain and virtually every part of your health. So we're actually talking inflammation of tissues on a microscopic level that restricts blood flow. So the bottom line is strong circulation with healthy blood that you create with your diet preserves the health of everything and is the primary ticket to enduring long-lasting neurological health. So I want you to think about that the brain is a vascular organ, that it's 400 miles of blood vessels. Now, inflammation damages the brain due to restricting blood flow, which carries oxygen, nutrients, and is also essential for removing metabolic waste from cells. And so essentially, when there's not enough blood flow, metabolic waste literally goes rancid and just makes everything weaker. So literally, there is reduced activity between neurons at potentially an accelerated rate. In fact, PET scans have shown that brain inflammation is really linked to most disease because the body essentially becomes less capable of mitigating the imbalances and healing itself. So if there's really one thing that you take away today, it's inflammation, that it's a microscopic level inflammation that can literally come and go in just a few minutes depending on your diet and lifestyle. It's a very fast reaction. So when things are inflamed in the tissues throughout your body, it will definitely create right away this sort of just irritability, brain fog, being forgetful, potentially just feeling unmotivated and draggy, tired, depressed even. And naturally, of course, that is a factor with just these doubling statistics of Alzheimer's. Now, the really good news is, we talked about this yesterday, neurogenesis being the renewal of brain cells. This was just discovered in 2000, 2001, 2002. It was thought until then that it was the one thing the body can't regrow. And that is not true. That you can actually grow brain cells until the very end of your life. And so your brain, the goal is always just to grow cells faster than they die, right? So we want to enhance with our diet and lifestyle that natural process of neurogenesis, growing new neurons, and that rather than just age taking us in the opposite direction, the notion that that after your midlife it's a decline, that is definitely not the case at all. So all very good news, and I not only do I, with this information, want to mitigate the current decline in brain health, your brain health, like I said, can be significantly improved at any time. So now being the time to jump on that. Now we're going to be talking diet, exercise, and we're going to visit on the topic of sleep too, to speed brain cell production. Essentially, in a nutshell, remodeling the internal structure of your brain. And so the reality is the brain thrives on a healthy diet, lots of exercise, and stress management. The big one we all know is diet, of course, and we want diet to be part of the healing solution here rather than just making the problem worse. So diet is going to be our primary focus today. Our focus yesterday was stress, and actually how stress causes inflammation due to changing your body's chemistry, believe it or not. That's something very few people know. that we think of stress as like the boss riding us hard, but we're talking actually just the day-to-day pressures of just paying bills and driving to and from work, appointments, errands, grocery store, cell phones, computers, unpleasant news, radios, and the list goes on. You know, from the time we wake up in the morning, we just have this sense of urgency, and it does add up. And so these factors have in fact accelerated over the last few years. It's something that we all deal with. We're fit to deal with it, but the other urgency here is now with COVID, there is more to worry about. So I want to explain the problem and just how to mitigate that. And if you were here yesterday, you heard this. I'm going to breeze through it in just a few minutes so we can get to diet. And so the problem with stress is it stimulates this production of cortisol, which is actually a natural stimulant produced by the body, so it's not necessarily all bad. Now, originally, cortisol, this stress hormone that your body produces literally instantly or very quickly, was for acute stress, meaning running for your life, like that whole fight or flight saying. So, but with all of these stresses, it's more of like just this chronic trickle of cortisol, which here's how it does in fact damage the brain. That it's this chronic stress, the chronic cortisol stimulant, it produces an oxidative chemical stress that causes inflammation in the brain. It's kind of the same as just eating acid-forming foods that create that acidity in the body. So it's the same concept, but it's actually happening specifically in the brain. The other thing about this constant cortisol production is it steals the substrates for basically the materials that your body would use to produce oxytocin, that mood boosting hormone, which we all need more of. That's very important. So the other part of it is the amygdala in the brain is what responds to stress. Okay. Now the amygdala also can take up the substrates and blood flow that would otherwise be going to the hippocampus, which is your memory. So your hippocampus that's handling your memory is essentially getting starved, and believe it or not, it can actually shrink over years of this stress. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. Now, the fourth thing, and this is where we're going to shift into diet, is stress affects your microbiome. That's your gut health, your digestive health, and the way it alters the microbiome, your digestive health, is there is such a direct connection of activity in your brain with activity in your microbiome. One example is when you're feeling nervous, you get the butterfly feeling. Now, it's a very delicate, sensitive balance with the brain, and so if that is essentially weak and damaged, that is, you got to remember, is where your serotonin production is. It's actually more serotonin created in your gastrointestinal system than in your brain, which is a mood regulator. So this can't go unchecked. It really does all add up. Now, yesterday we did talk about a couple ways to mitigate stress. And there are the obvious options like yoga and exercise and spending time with a friend, laughter, going for a walk in nature. We'll visit that at another date. But just to jump into diet here, the buzz, what a lot of people are interested in now is that it's the weight gain, especially just in the last 10 years. And so the reason that the stress is causing that weight gain is cortisol raises blood sugar. Cortisol is that natural stimulant, and so it needs the blood sugar for that blast of energy. Now, this is just a temporary raise in blood sugar, and that because you need that prime energy in that acute moment of your cortisol being high. Now, if you're not like getting out, if you're not like just like bursting out of your office chair and going for a run, that rapid increase in your blood sugar is essentially just slapped into your fat cells, which is essentially stored as fuel for later. Your body has like this high blood sugar, which it doesn't like. And so it's like, well, we got to do something with this blood sugar because otherwise it can be damaging. So that's essentially just what can plump up our fat cells. Now, high blood sugar, in fact, does cause more inflammation. That's why your body would rather like inflame fat cells. Now, the other problem with that is the brain-blood barrier does become more insulin resistant due to damaged receptors, believe it or not. And the hippocampus, your memory center, does need insulin. So that's actually like a very temporary type 2 diabetes going on. And so the problem is when this is a lifestyle and it goes on, there is a bit of a breaking that can happen, and that is where type 2 diabetes can essentially kick in. It's a bit of a trap. Thankfully, it is known that that can be fixed through a very diligent diet and lifestyle. But whether or not you're taking it to that level, if you're gaining any weight, and then this is reflective of just being headed in the wrong direction. So definitely time for that change of course of action. Now, having this understanding, the reason this is so important that I'm going through this the first 15 minutes here is because we're having this information actually kind of cracks the structure that we'll call the comfort zone that I talked about yesterday, how it facts challenge these belief systems that we become comfortable with, and that also people just kind of often just don't want to know. You know, they're kind of comfortable with the way their life is, but you can see that statistically, this is not something that we don't want to keep going in this direction. So really, genetically, we are actually a lean species. Now, we're all sort of shaped different, but if you're feeling like you need to lose 20, 30 pounds, or even 10 pounds or more, you can do it, and it will revolutionize your life. I can assure you that if you weigh an amount that you instinctively feel is appropriate for you, and that means losing even 10 pounds, you will feel radically different. And so that's good news and plenty of reason to work for this. And so for weight loss, really, it's important to set a time-oriented goal. And so I can't promise you're going to lose all the weight that you want in a month, but the reason a month is a really good goal to say, I am going to be diligent with this lifestyle for a month, is because a month is the time frame that it takes to get this big shift to happen in your body for losing weight. And what that is, I'm going to explain what that is, but just trust me here that just learning this is going to help be the motivation. And that you're going to also, it's good to get a friend involved where you want to spend time with your friends who prioritize their health too. And this is not easy for everybody, so getting even a life coach or somebody, even a friend, to help hold you accountable. Now, what I have to share is for just anyone to lose weight, that month is the benchmark. It's actually more like 3 weeks. That using a stringent dietary protocol, because it takes like kind of a shock to the system to break your body out of like this biochemical gridlock. So it is essentially like flipping your metabolism to burn this stored fat as fuel. And so during this shift, it can be hard. You might feel a little draggy, although you're going to feel a lot better if we apply these protocols that I'm sharing with you. So, but I can guarantee you, after a few weeks, you will feel like a different person. That basically for now, to get started, it's going to take some willpower and to get pumped up and to know that you're doing something extraordinary for yourself. It is up and over a mountain, but having the knowledge, the know-how, and this kind of information is kind of like your sledgehammer to be swinging away and to dig tunnels and make the whole thing much more doable. Now, it's more than just giving up processed sugar and eating more blueberries. As huge as that is, I can assure you, there are specific foods to eat that you really need to eat, and foods that you don't want to eat at all. So this is also going to be the anti-inflammatory diet. So it's not just the weight loss diet. You are doing something extraordinary for the health of your brain and the health of everything. That's why you're going to feel like a different person. You have that sense of achievement, yes, from like losing pounds. It's good to have like the visual, physical evidence of what you're doing, but you're really going to be just like a different thinker. You're going to feel different. You're going to feel sharper and more energized. Now, I will just share that the cheat sheet in the back of my book, Infinity Health Manual, you could just really cut to the finish line. And at the end of this, I am going to share that link with you to download the ebook for free today. So I did that yesterday, and I'm doing that again today. And I do have another gift as well that I'll share with you. So part of the key for the next few weeks is going to be doing a lot of your own food prep. And in the back of my book, you will see a section for recipes, which is basically the most nutrient-rich stuff and making it both palatable and easy. That's kind of the criteria for the single bachelor, making all their own food. So now it's going to take a little bit of portion control and not snacking between meals, but you're going to find that these foods I have to share with you really do satiate your appetite with smaller portions, fewer calories. It is worth considering that we are in this day and age dealing with nutrient depleted foods, that even organic foods, just our soils are slightly depleted due to just the industrial farming. And this is where supplements, superfoods can play a role. We will visit that. But the first and foremost thing is really to cut the riffraff from your pantry. You really got to do this detox with your pantry to get started. To get it out of reach, get this stuff out of your home, you got to throw it out or take it to Goodwill. That again, we get in this comfort zone and we think, well, just to have it once in a while, it's not all bad. That has become the status quo. That's not you. But think about it. Everybody everywhere is eating it, and that's why these statistics we're dealing with are very frightening. So in this 3 weeks, you just have to, if you want to make this really click, this really happen, you have to go off all processed carbs. And I'm talking bread, all wheat products, pasta, baked goods, snack foods, all processed sugar, potatoes. The grain exception is oatmeal, which is awesome. But even your high sugar fruits, you don't want to be eating a ton of bananas and pineapple, of course, those high sugar fruits. So it is breaking that carbohydrate, just chemical addiction, essentially. It is part psychological, but there is, again, that bio-neurological gridlock that we have to break. That's why it's going to take this absolutely disciplined diet for this 3 weeks. And using my recipes, I can guarantee you, is going to make it not so hard. Again, it's just making that decision that you're going to do it. And so it is, once you get through this, once in a while, if you're at a birthday party, it's okay to have a piece of cake. You don't want to be the wet blanket, the only person that doesn't have cake. But, even when I go out to dinner, I'll tell you that chefs use sugar to make everything taste better, no matter how natural it sounds. If it's not like specifically like a really health food oriented restaurant, they really do put sugar in all of their sauces, and it's what makes everything taste amazing. It's one of the chef's secrets. And so, and then the issue is, it's kind of like a tickle to your, I don't have a better word for it, a tickle to your sugar craving, that when they ask you, do you want to check our dessert menu, even when I hear it, it's like, huh? And so it's hard. That's just the way it is. And so, again, during this period, preparing your own food, get a friend in on it. And so I talked about cutting out the processed carbs. That is absolutely crucial. And the other foods that have to go are processed oils, particularly the safflower, sunflower, canola, corn oils, and these are in all the snack foods, all the packaged products, chips, crackers, all of it. So the other one is palm oil. It's absolutely horrible, especially for your cholesterol. Olive oil is okay to use as salad dressing. It's not something to cook with. It is heat sensitive. For cooking, coconut oil is absolutely acceptable in moderate amounts. So the brain actually likes coconut. The brain is, in fact, made partially of saturated fat. It is mostly water, though, believe it or not. So the other thing we do need to trip back on, you don't need to be vegetarian, but a lot of animal protein, especially beef and pork, does create inflammation in the body. And remember that we are on this anti-inflammatory routine. So we're cutting these foods out, but don't despair, because we're replacing all of that with, the elites. The foods that are high in antioxidants. What are the elites? We're talking most raw fruits and vegetables have at least some antioxidants, but the elites, we want to go with the best. Those are berries. And truly, blueberries are amazing. Very underestimated food. I'll be honest that I personally am on a very diligent anti-inflammatory diet and lifestyle, because years ago when I would have seizures, basically seizures cause inflammation. So, I was swinging my sledgehammer at inflammation if that was ever possible. So those antioxidants are, not only are you getting nutritive foods that satisfy your body with fewer calories, but it's the antioxidants that hunt down the inflammation causing free radicals just from the wear and tear of everyday life. We all deal with that. Now, foods that are high in phytonutrients and chlorophyll, and the elites are going to be your dark greens. We're talking kale and arugula, chard, spinach, blue-green algae, basil, mustard greens, just to mention a few. And I do have ways, absolutely, to make those extremely palatable using my blender with all of these foods and lemon juice and olive oil and various herbs to make sauces, soups, dressings. So the other important part of green foods, not only for the nutritive anti-inflammatory value, but chlorophyll in green food is what soaks up that toxic lingering cortisol, and also just the everyday toxins from, unfortunately, the less than great air we breathe, water, foods, household cleaners, all those things we are exposed to just more toxins than ever. And so that is the critical reason that we need more green food, more chlorophyll. So the other category of food, nuts and seeds, flax and chia seeds deserve some special attention. They are great for your digestion. They're kind of like lubricants to help everything move better. They do have some omega-3 fatty acids. Now, I will say that there are the elites, and we need to go for those. I consider salmon in that category. Go for wild caught. There are farm raised options that are okay. You just don't know necessarily what's going on behind the scenes. Not everybody has the opportunity to go to like the Real Deal fish market and ask, hey, how was this salmon raised? So, personally, I opt for wild caught. Now, vegetarians, you can do just fine. It's the raw nuts and seeds, just the whole unadulterated foods. Walnuts and almonds. I said the flax and chia seeds are awesome. These are natural anti-inflammatories. So now there are the omega-3 supplements, and I think that they can be good. Personally, I am a fan of the whole unadulterated plant foods, but having these as an adjunct, as an addition, I think is totally fine. The fats from avocados are kind of in their separate category as just being absolutely awesome for the brain. Turmeric really deserves the spotlight as nature's #1 anti-inflammatory when combined with pepper. Not to say that you have to have infinity turmeric to be healthy, but if you look at the 3,000 years of Ayurveda based on where turmeric and pepper is like just what they totally spotlight too. And it is interesting to consider that until very recent years, dementia was basically non-existent in India. So now just actually, okay, before I forget, one other category of food that is absolutely integral for brain health is are the fermented foods like kimchi, raw sauerkraut. That these have the healthy bacteria that are the building blocks of a strong digestive system, and it's those whole foods that don't necessarily have like as much like they don't have the 40 billion probiotics that you get in a capsule, but it's the unadulterated plant food where it's a very bioavailable, very absorbable probiotic, a healthy bacteria. So I personally have sauerkraut every day. I'm a total believer in sauerkraut. So just after a few days of removing the dietary burdens of the sugar and processed carbohydrates and too much meat and the unhealthy oils, etc., you are going to feel a lift from of just kind of like this toxic funk lifting your body, and it can actually be uncomfortable for a few days. It can feel like a little bit of a hangover. Lots of green foods are what help mitigate that, the chlorophyll. So, but I can assure you that your gastrointestinal system is going to have a sigh of relief. So that's the importance of the gastrointestinal system, that I can't emphasize it enough, that it's a pillar of your health, and it is, like we talked about, super connected with your brain. So I noticed that it's 2:32, so if some of you need to go, I did cover the majority of the things I really wanted to highlight. I want to take a few questions. I did just remember that if you have a few more minutes, a lot of people ask me about the keto diet. There's kind of a buzz about the keto is short for ketogenic, and it's about reducing carbohydrates and just more fats, because like we talked about, fats are fuel. And the advantage is fats by calorie satiate our appetite more than just carbohydrates. So it really does help with portion control to have more foods like raw nuts and seeds and avocados. So now when we're talking to the higher fat keto diet, we're not talking about the bacon and sausage keto, you know. We're going for the elites because we're trying to build comprehensive health. So that's it. Now, the reason I'm not going to say it's essential to necessarily always be on this keto diet to get your body into that state of ketosis is because actually when you go from dinner overnight to breakfast, if there's at least a 12-hour span in there, your body does go into a mild state of ketosis, which the brain does really like, actually. It does help the brain get rid of some metabolic waste. So you are naturally kicking into this mode in between that span of time. That is why it's important, for example, if you're going to have dinner at 7 o'clock, to have your smoothie or breakfast after 7 or after the following morning. So I do just want to make a mention of water, that we are somewhat of a chronically dehydrated population. And so even if your body is just like 2% dehydrated, that actually does make a big difference in blood flow. So, okay. I see the question about the cookbook. Yes, I have that. And why don't I just go ahead and share that link with you really quick that you can just click and download it for free in case you have to go. I'm typing this into the comment box. Ta-da. There you go. So the other thing that we're going to talk, so actually, truthfully, I have a ton more I wanted to talk about, and so we're going to have to do another session. I'm leaving town to go on a backpacking trip with my brother, actually, and so I'm going to be out until, I'm going to have to send you an email, actually, so you can subscribe on my website, and it's probably going to be, so it's not going to be next week, I'm going to be gone, it's probably going to be Tuesday in a week and a half, but stay tuned. I will let you know. You can always hit subscribe down below, and then you get automatically notified anytime I set up a meeting. So that's it for today. Next, we are going to incorporate, we're going to talk a little bit about exercise, because that can make a big difference, but not all exercise. It's a specific kind of exercise that is going to create, the target is to create this systemic inflammation, where I know that sounds like a bad thing, but actually the brain loves it, and we're going to explain why, and the right exercise can stimulate the production of a growth hormone that works especially well for the brain. So big deal. We're going to talk about sleep too, that it's kicks in, and this is actually a very recent discovery that few people know about, that there is a system like the lymphatic system called the glymphatic system for the brain, that when you sleep, when you get that good sleep, actually cleans the brain out. So we need to talk about that too. We are a bit of a sleep-deprived nation with plenty to think about these days, and so I do want to share a few keys to improving your sleep. Now, I don't want you to have to wait for a week and a half, so do flip through my e-version, my ebook, because I have a whole chapter dedicated to improving your sleep. So if there are any more questions, you can let me know. Otherwise, we will wrap this up. This has been a lot of fun. I appreciate you guys tuning in. And so I do encourage you, invite you to invite your friends next time. And I really want to get a crowd on board, because this is a serious call to action. There is an urgency here, not to be fearful, but to be like, okay, let's motivate and get this show on the road of claiming our greatest selfhood. So yeah, we're doing it for ourselves and also generations to come, our children. You know, we want to be a massive support and inspiration, and to be a shining light onto one another. It's a big part of our success as the human race. So that's it. Thanks again, you guys, and have an excellent day. Bye now.